Hello everyone. Some of you may be wondering why I'm uploading a video looking at a pair of German boots here on Rifleman More. Of course, I do have a secondary channel, RM Military Miscellany, where I look at kit which doesn't really fit on Rifleman More. That focus over here obviously is British Empire and British Commonwealth militaria. These do have a link to that. They are German issue boots, and they're commonly referred to as German para boots. Of course, they're designed for they were issued to the Fallschirmjäger units of the Bundeswehr. I don't collect Bundeswehr kit, generally speaking, but these were something I wanted to pick up for quite a while, and I managed to find a pair relatively recently at a good price in my size, which is always nice. And they were quite, I wouldn't say very commonly, but they were popular. I think they were desirable private purchase or privately acquired items for British troops in the 1970s and 1980s, the late 1970s into the 1980s. Particularly more elite units, the Parachute Regiment, elite infantry units, the Parachute Regiment, the Royal Marines. They certainly show up in photographs in the Falklands War, and there are one or two photographs showing these in use. And for use in the field, they are streets ahead of the issue footwear, the much maligned DMS boot of the 1970s and 1980s. It is the German para boot is a much better boot, and we'll see that. I've worn these for a hike just to try them out, and they were very comfortable, excellent ankle support. Obviously, I don't get any sort of real experience of field use there, but I did get good traction from them and so forth. The tread design seemed to work quite well. The rubber of the sole is a lot harder than you'd expect with modern combat boots or hiking boots, etc. But they provided good grip and were a very comfortable pair of boots. So we're going to have a look at these in some detail now and talk a little bit about why these were desirable and why they're so much better than DMS. So here we have the boots we're going to look at, and I just want to stress here, I have not collected these because of a particular interest in Bundeswehr equipment. I very much have these in the collection because of their use in a private purchase or a privately acquired context by British troops to a limited degree. And from that perspective, I won't be talking about the history of their use by the Bundeswehr here. I'm going to look at the details of these, but my interest in them and the reason I have them and what we're going to be talking about here is they're used by British troops. So they were designed and introduced for the Fallschirmjäger of the Bundeswehr, of course, so they are designed as a pair of parachutist boots. And from that perspective, they are really quite a good design. They are very well made, certainly compared to the DMS boots, which were the standard issue British combat boot of the time. And you can see that here. I mean, just overall looking at the details of the construction, the details of the design. First of all, you have a stitched leather sole with a rubber sole attached to that, or as the lower sole, a layer of leather and then rubber. And you can see here the heel is built up from rubber, but you still have that leather sole running around the back there. You can see the stitching for that all the way around here. So in some respects, a more durable construction, though a much more expensive construction than the standard issue DMS boot. And of course, they're a high leg combat boot, as opposed to the DMS, which was an ankle boot and of course had to be worn with anklets or puttees. So they have myriad advantages in that regard. The lacing system is interesting in that it uses these metal loops, as you can see, as opposed to a mix of eyelets and speed lacing or anything of that nature. The metal loops all the way up, which I think the only combat boot I've seen with this all the way up the boot, as opposed to just being up the shaft of the boot, is the Dutch M66 boots. So this works very, very well because it's easy to both open these up to put them on and then pull the laces tight. And as I say, I have worn these on a hike just to try them out. They seem to be in good enough condition to wear and use, at least lightly and sparingly. And certainly they were very easy to lace up and provided lots of ankle support. There was a nice grip around the ankle, not uncomfortable, but you could definitely feel that they were supporting the ankle while walking. So definitely a good element of the design from that point of view. Have a look at the tread pattern here, because that's always important in a boot, and you can see it's quite distinctive, but this does give good grip. It's quite a hard rubber compared to more modern combat boots, which tend to have a slightly softer, grippier rubber, but the tread does do well in soft ground. And you can actually see here, we have Metzeler in the roundel in the middle here. There's an identifier, and 290 I believe is the size. And then the heel is actually made in Italy, and it's possible these are replacement heels. They're a slightly different colour from the rubber of the main sole, and they don't show a huge amount of wear. So I think these may actually be replacement heels from some point in this boot's life. They're very well fitted, and as I say, nicely fitted replacements if they are indeed replacements, which could well be the case. No toe cap, of course. The uppers, as you can see here, the details of the seams, fairly typical construction there. The heel piece here, which is reminiscent of the first pattern of boot Combat High. The heel comes all the way around here, and then you have the backstay running up the pull tab at the top here. There are two holes in the top of the shaft here. I'm not entirely sure why. If anyone could enlighten me on that, I'd be interested to know. So fairly typical construction from combat boots. The lacing system, as we've already mentioned, is slightly unusual. And there's a set of nylon laces, which I think are the originals. If I understand this correctly, I believe that the nylon laces we have here are the originals. Of course, they're very tough and hard wearing, which is good. Just what you want in a combat boot. If I open these up a little bit, you'll see how easy it is to sort of pull these and open these up. You can see the tongue is actually padded there. I don't know how easy it'll be to see. You can see that the bulk of the tongue there. This is padded, which gives extra comfort, of course. And you do have, in one of these, there are some markings. You can see the inside of the backstay there. So you have the reinforcing piece at the inside of the backstay there. And I'll just bring one of the lights over and we can have a look down inside. And you can see some markings down inside there. Though not very clearly. I'll do my best and bring the light round here. Do my best to illuminate down inside the boot. It's a little bit difficult with the light in one hand and trying to maneuver the boot in the other. But you can see the markings down in the bottom there, the inner sole. Just have a look at the other boot and try and remind myself. I'm sure one of them had a stamp in the shaft of the boot or in the tongue, but I may be misremembering. I think I am. But anyway, this has exactly the same as we saw with the other sole. It has that heel piece, which may well be a replacement. You can see that there, made in Italy. Just move my spotlight back out of the way there. You can see there. And just the reason I'm saying that is the limited wear, although the whole tread doesn't have a huge amount of wear, as you can see. And certainly I've seen other boots for sale that have this tread pattern on the sole. So I assume this is original to this tread pattern we see at the front here was original to these boots. A far superior boot when compared to the DMS, of course, as I say, and a very good boot compared to other high leg combat boots that perhaps could have been privately purchased. So it's understandable why these were so popular. They are overall a very good design, and for that reason, it's not surprising that when troops did have the option to privately purchase or privately acquire combat boots, high leg combat boots, these were a very popular choice. And they certainly show up, as I say, in the Royal Marines, in the Falklands. There are photographs of Royal Marines using these to a limited degree, and troops of the Parachute Regiment as well. I've seen at least one photograph, I'm trying to remember off the top of my head, but at least one photograph of a member of the Parachute Regiment wearing these, and they certainly have a bit of a cult status, I guess you could say. They're certainly mentioned quite regularly. I've seen forum threads and so forth talking about these and remembering them fondly, basically, as a good pair of boots. So that's a quick look at these German Paraboots. Mainly, the point of the video here, of course, is to look at the design details and take you through and have a good look at them in detail. And hopefully that aim has been fulfilled in the video. And as I say, they did turn up in the late 1970s and into the 1980s when private purchase in the British Army was beginning to become a bit more common. It depended on the specific unit as to exactly what you could get away with. And certainly high leg combat boots like these were, for field use, acceptable in certain regiments and certain units, such as the Parachute Regiment and the Royal Marines. So I hope you found it interesting looking at these. As I say, this isn't some sudden branching out into Bundeswehr collecting Bundeswehr kit. This is very much picking up a pair of these because of their use by British forces. A limited use, but nevertheless interesting. And they're a lovely pair of boots and a great addition to the collection from that point of view. And they'll probably feature in displays going forward. And as I say, you can certainly see in the video the quality of manufacture, the reason that these were favoured for field use and a much better option where they could be acquired compared to the DMS boot, the standard issue British footwear at the time. So as I say, I do hope you found this interesting. If you have and you'd like to see more of this sort of thing, please do consider subscribing if you haven't already. And whether you're newly subscribing or you've previously subscribed, please do make sure you hit the little bell, the notification button down below. And that will of course alert you when I upload future videos. If you really like my uploads and you would like to support the channel, you can, both Patreon and PayPal, I'll link down below. And as I always say, a huge thank you to everybody who supports the channel using those two methods. It really is greatly appreciated. Thank you all very much indeed. If you'd like to follow the channel on social media, you can. Facebook, Instagram and Twitter are all linked down below. And if you'd like to get in touch but you don't really use social media, there is of course an email address in the description as well. That's everything for this video, so until next time, bye for now.